Galaxy, welcome back to Tosche Station. We got a real one for you guys here today. I'm Rob.
I'm Dennis.
I'm Derek.
And this is Tosche Station. Boom, 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 boom.
Pew!
Alright, let's get into it, man.
Alright, our topic today, what is it?
It is, what does it mean to bring balance to the Force?
Yeah, what does it mean? Is the Force, unbalanced?
Is the Force unbalanced?
Well, that question is very difficult to answer for a number of reasons. Primarily, I mean, let's just start chronologically in movie timeline. So we obviously that whole prophecy existed long before Anakin. Like that prophecy has been established for a long time, in just in the Star Wars galaxy. And by the time we finally get,
You could call it the Star lore.
that's pretty good. I kind of like that. But anyway, so by the time you get to Anakin, I mean it's just a prophecy at that point of this chosen one will bring balance to the Force. But at the same time, the Jedi Order set themselves up to just exponentially gain more and more members and gain more and more traction. I mean, I guess at one point they thought they wiped out the Sith. So that's why it's just such a weird and vague prophecy, because what the hell does bring balance to the Force even mean? It's almost a nonsensical question when you had, like, it being a light side prophecy just doesn't make any sense. And the reason I say light side prophecy is specifically because, the Sith don't really ever make any mention of it. You never hear Maul talk about it. You never hear Palpatine talk about it. None of these people. You just never hear the Sith talk about it.
Question. Who made the prophecy originally? Do we know that?
I was just thinking that.
Was it Professor Trelawney?
Who's that?
That was a joke. That's the person who made the prophecy about the Chosen One in Harry Potter.
No, it was the records of the Bene Gesserit. But that is probably what it's ripped off from. Dune's prophecy about...
I'm sure if we go back and look somewhere, we can find somewhere that says... Maybe.
Dude, George Lucas got sued by Frank Herbert. It's in the record, dude.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in Star Wars canon.
Yeah.
Probably says somewhere, like, who made the prophecy. I guess it's kind of pointless.
Oh,
but,
okay.
I mean, it's not pointless, but I mean, like, regardless of who made it, it doesn't really change the conversation of what Derek was talking about. Like,
the prophecy of the Chosen One. I'm going to read it from Wikipedia.
Actually, Wikipedia is an incredible source.
An ancient Jedi legend that foretold. It was one of hundreds of obscure legends maintained by the Jedi Order, though its origins remain unknown. It was thought to have been created by the earliest Jedi philosophers after the creation of the Galactic Republic, but before the Jedi assumed an active role in it. Oh, there are some Sith interpretations of it. Darth Plagueis.
Prophecies are generally wishful thinking. The fact that the Sith created their own savior myth is predictable, yet these predictions seem uniquely specific to the actions I am taking now. I am not a creature of superstition, but if the robes of the Sithari fit, I see no reason not to claim them.
They had their own prophecy of the ultimate Sith.
there's a lot of places we could take this. So, First of all, yeah, let's look. What would bringing balance to the Force, quote unquote, actually entail? Because, I mean, by pure definition, it doesn't mean getting rid of the light. I mean, getting rid of the dark side, and having the good side win. Balance, as we talked about before in regards to the Force, it has to do with the yin and the yang. There's light and dark feeding off each other.
Yeah.
To facilitate the
merging of
the universe,
the animus and the anima.
Yeah. So what would that actually look like? And do we not have that already in the galaxy at the start of Star Wars? Maybe. I mean, let's talk about these questions.
We brought up in another episode. Oh, sorry. Go on, Derek.
Oh no, I was just going to kind of answer it, but Dennis, go ahead.
We brought up in another episode, different interpretations of what the universe is doing and how the Force is influencing it. And there's questions of free will and destiny and stuff, but one of the big questions is it like a symphony where everyone plays their part, even if it's like your part is to be a dark side user and influence things to create a certain confluence of events for this story to take place, this kind of like this epic universal symphony that's almost predestined or predetermined by the players, but happens improvisationally. That's kind of like a maybe Taoistic view of the Star Wars universe, of what balance means, that there'll always be a balance. But
does Taoism concern itself with predestination?
I think it doesn't concern itself with predestination. I think it tries to unify with the harmony of the flow of the universe. That's my interpretation.
I'm gonna have to say I disagree with that, because just throughout all of Star Wars, it's just kind of always been there's someone pulling the strings. All along the way, there's always someone pulling the strings.
It was Palpatine all along.
I don't ever think that. I don't know. I don't think destiny is really a thing. Like, I think they say it's a thing, but I don't think it's really a thing.
No, but
I think there's.
I'm not saying.
It depends on what you define by destiny.
I'm not saying it's predetermined. I'm not saying it's predetermined, but I am trying to say it's sort of like how like the whole world and the happenings on Westeros in the Game of Thrones, or in a song. It's called A Song of Ice and Fire, and it's a song because it's almost like an epic tale told throughout time, and it so much takes place in this song. And I kind of relate that to Star Wars because it is like this epic galaxy, and even this little thing about how the Death Star plans made it into the hands of the princess that changed everything. They decided to make a whole movie out of it, and little things have this Shakespearean tragic irony behind them, that like little big things come from small origins, and like one person can influence like the destiny or the fate of the whatever you want to call it of the galaxy. And that's what's inspiring about Star Wars originally, but I'm not trying to make a case for predeterminism. I'm trying to make a case for this idea that everybody's playing their part. I mean, writers wrote them into the movies, so that is literally true. But in the universe of Star Wars, there's an interplay between the dark and the light side of the Force that create the tension and release that viewers and appreciators of stories would resonate with, like have those emotionally charged Shakespearean moments, operatic moments to enjoy, enjoy the fun adventure of the chase and the tragedy and the catharsis of the drama.
So, what does the balance of the Force look like? What's the ideal state of the galaxy? In my mind, it's there being peace broadly, and what I mean, it's kind of hard to think about. Like, what? Okay, peace and life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
If there's peace, there's no movie.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the irony. But,
Star peace.
Ideally, all right. So this kind of brings up another question. Anakin, the chosen one. The prophecy is about him. A, is Anakin actually the chosen one? B, does he fulfill the prophecy? C, how so?
There's a lot of real estate out in the outer rim.
Yeah. Mustafar's a hot property.
Prophecy schmophecy. I think he's created from freaky experiments from Darth Plagueis and Palpatine.
That is what's implied.
And so I think, it's all propaganda. It's all just propaganda with the prophecy and stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. That's exactly my point. Is that it's all just like it's just someone pulling the strings at the end of the day. Someone does something to upset the
someone pulling the strings. Here's the thing, though: if this is an ancient prophecy, then someone pulling the strings to produce Anakin is still part of the prophecy. The whole point is that Anakin exists, regardless of how he's made. He is the chosen one.
Okay. If enough people believe it, power resides where people believe it.
Well, that's the thing. Is Anakin actually the chosen one? Is Mace Windu and Yoda wrong? Are they just reading into it?
What? They don't. Were they looking for the chosen one?
Or was it Qui-Gon who said that?
No, it was Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon was like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm so on this dude, my fanfic," and everybody else is kind of just like, "All right, man."
They're like, Jake Lloyd is the chosen one.
They're like, "See, we let one long hair to be a Jedi Master, and he thinks he's found the chosen one."
These Hollywood hippies and their commie agenda. So is there a chosen one? I don't know. I think we could be skeptical that all of that's just hooey fooey. Get it out of there.
Well, what's the point of this conversation? We have to dissect this.
I'm not interested in the prophecy. I'm interested in what the Force means. What is the balance of the Force? What does the Force look like when it's balanced? And what is the Force trying to do? What is the intention of the Force?
Well, that's one of the hardest things, it seems, to decipher even for Jedi. You see it a lot in Clone Wars, and I guess you see it a little bit in the movie.
And there's an obvious religious metaphor for faith and spirituality.
But they're always talking about trying to decipher the Force and trying to understand the will of the Force, and that's why you can't really put too much stock in prophecy, is because where did it come from? Why does you said it yourself? Why does this one guy ride it so hard? And again, there's light side specific and dark side specific prophecies, but then why, if the Force is supposed to be one entity with two sides, why is it spitting different facts?
Well, yeah, we touched on this a little bit. Sorry, I just got to get this out. It's like it bifurcates into light and dark, but there's a whole spectrum of regular average people who are just centrists by midichlorian count design. Mm-hmm. And they're just in play, and they go at it in warfare and all these other ideological clashes. But it's all one thing. It's kind of like the biblical idea that the pure ideal being, God, also is responsible for the devil, the actions of the creation. By creating the devil and creating it as like a thing in the universe, it is responsible for the actions of the devil that it created. So it's like the force creating the circumstances in life for the Sith to gain power and cause immense suffering and cruelty. For what purpose? Because it at least is responsible by passively allowing it to occur. There's definitely those questions about the mystery of what the universe is doing as it unfolds. I mean, it's just trying to learn more about itself, in which case war to this super being's mind is not unethical. It's not unethical to continue to allow war and cruelty and immense suffering to pervade the universe.
I've always thought of the Force, excuse me, not as having like two sides per se, but like the Force is the Force. It's just one pervasive cycle of energy. And really, light side and dark side of the Force refers to how you use it as an entity connected to the Force. You can draw on its power to increase your own and enforce your will upon others, or you can draw on its power to like maintain an equilibrium or something, right? Like you could theoretically use the dark side for quote unquote good. That's all relative. Maybe the light side of the Force is light because it's not about doing good, it's about maintaining balance in the universe. And the dark side is dark, not because it has any sort of like black and white morality, but because you use it to affect change upon the world. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful, yeah.
I kind of like, as I was talking, that kind of like fell together in my mind.
It reminds me of a
really
Buckminster Fuller quote about the difference between like people will celebrate like an initiative about like saving the world or like fixing something that's like broken, and people will rally behind that thing and like try to get it going in, but less people are like enthusiastic about maintaining these processes and like making sure that they don't break in the first place.
Well, it's like, the fight of like conservation and like environmental protection.
Mm-hmm.
That's harder to get people gung-ho about because it's too abstract. Like you said, it's all about maintaining instead of like fixing something. But if you wait to fix it, it's too late. And the Jedi Order ultimately didn't do a very good job of maintaining, did they?
Well, you could make
whoa.
other arguments that they
Master
were going to
Yoda.
do some fixing, but it always comes back to someone pulled the string, made them have to fix it. Fixing
On a small scale is always going to be present and necessary. But it's the fixing on a large, in it's small scale fixing is important to maintain the balance. But if you have to fix something on a large scale, if it's too far beyond repair, to keep the metaphor going, then you done screwed up. And the Empire taking over and enforcing its will upon the entire galaxy is, at least for a time, too big for the Jedi alone to fix. But the light side of the Force works over the long term with the Rebel Alliance, with Luke and Leia and Han, kind of almost serendipitously forming these like relationship.
I'm sorry.
Well, but then that leads me to, as far as we know, in Star Wars, is true balance ever achieved? Even by the end of Return of the Jedi. Do you think it is? And it kind of is for
in the
few
Ewok
decades.
movie, A Caravan of Courage, balance is perfectly achieved.
When does that take place canonically? Before or after Empire Strikes? I mean, Return of the Jedi.
I think it's concurrent with Mandalorian, actually. I'm assuming that a lot, actually.
Never thought about what could be going on concurrently with Mandalorian.
Caravan of Courage. Timeline.
Well,
I
because
gotta
maybe that's balance as well.
Timeline 3 AB. Why?
Oh, that's 3 years after the Battle of Yavin. So it takes place. Yeah, I guess after Return, but before Mandalorian.
Nice, dude. It's a
So-
Mandalorian prequel.
But now I'm also left wondering, does balance mean eliminating light and dark? Maybe not necessarily. Actually, no, that would necessarily. Maybe you don't get rid of Force users per se, but you do eliminate the Jedi dogma and the Sith dogma. Just Force users doing Force users.
I think there's a lot of hate that comes against the Jedi, and it's a false comparison or a false equivalency of them losing sight of the right things and losing sight of their ideals versus being fucking aggressive, murdering psychopath, power hungry, like crazy Sith people. It's so weird how it's constantly compared. The Jedi being like kind of dumb and
Just a little decadent, I feel like.
yeah, just a little decadent, but still like good intentioned, and it's sort of like, oh well, they were too much of this thing or that thing, but like over such a long period of time, it's like it's inevitable that the next thing has to take hold. I mean, they I guess decadence leads to corruption or something is the moral tale being told in the prequels. But they still seemed cool and smart and level-headed for most of the prequel films. They seemed to have a good counsel, a good way of managing concerns within their group. And it's Master Yoda who would probably bear most of the responsibilities of the failures of the Jedi, and Mace Windu was killed completely unfairly.
Was it unfair?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was unfair. Like, are you going to tell me that he shouldn't have killed Palpatine right then and there?
Should have tried to just kill Palpatine instead of arresting him. Could have gone through the
No,
legal
bro,
process.
screw that.
Should have
They
gone through the
knew.
legal
They had all the
process.
evidence. That don't apologize for Anakin. Anakin wasn't motivated by some higher sort of judicial, ethics. He was acting selfishly.
It's 100%.
And doesn't he commit a hypocrisy right then and there?
Yeah, yes, he does.
Yeah, so like
What do you
killing Mace Windu.
Oh yeah, then he
like,
kills Mace. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you could
he
say
slices his
self-defense,
hand
but-
off, and then the him being defenseless leads him to being thrown out the window by Palpatine.
Yeah, it's actually Palpatine who kills him.
That's
but-
clever. Yeah, that's interesting.
And speaking of Anakin, actually, I mean, maybe branching into Luke as well, but I also like the implications of these young people being told that they have this huge burden to bear of being, said chosen one, or said, you're going to bring balance to the Force. I think that definitely shaped some of Anakin's like mannerisms. Definitely his cockiness that 100% fed into it. I'm trying to maybe think in some ways. Maybe he was just pushed harder to train, just because hey, I have this big burden to bear. I need to be really good.
Yeah.
Did he ever mention the prophecy?
Not to my knowledge. But I mean, Anakin knew he was really powerful and knew he was really good and thought he was better than most Jedis.
My mommy told me I'm special.
Mommy's dead.
My mommy.
Yeah, how could a loving force allow this to happen to his mother? How could a loving,
the force isn't loving,
caring, compassionate?
The force doesn't have emotions.
The force is not compassionate. The force is uncaring.
No, I mean you're putting like conceptions of like a god into the force.
Well, I'm just trying to explain it through some other spirituality, or is it its own version of spirituality?
I mean, you had it right thinking of it in like Eastern terms. It's not necessarily like loving or hateful or like vindictive. It's just is, things need to exist in the balance, and you can find your place within that balance, or you can, not heed the flows of the universe, or like disrupt it or something. And there may be some negative consequences for you if you don't do that, or negative consequences for others. But it's not like the will of the force that like something bad's going to happen to you.
Okay. Yeah, I like that interpretation. Yeah, absolutely. It definitely, it's definitely kind of conforms to the gaps in where it might be. It's just kind of confusing as to how it influences people. What are the limits of the force? And it is odd, Anakin using it, using his powers first for good and being a hero, and then it consuming him and him using his powers solely for evil totalitarianism for many, many decades.
Whenever if we want to look at a more narrow window of time, his possible conversion to the dark side may come from him realize, again in that heated moment with Palpatine, him kind of realizing, hey, you know what? Balance to the Force. This guy, he's got something up his sleeve. Maybe this is how I'm meant to do it.
Maybe. That just shows, yeah.
Wait, what is your theory? What are you saying?
That, again, the idea of bringing balance to the Force. If you want to look at Anakin's perspective specifically, he may have sided with Palpatine in the end because, again, Palpatine obviously had some kind of grand plan, and Anakin, now knowing that he's a Sith Lord and knowing, the Sith want to bring about the end of the Jedi, may have said, well, you know what, there's too much Jedi, this is how I'm supposed to bring balance.
Yeah, he saw the opportunity and he was like, I think this is the way to go. I can see that. It brings it back to just a decision, the willpower of one man to determine what path the whole galaxy takes. That's kind of what I see in Darth Vader. Or Anakin, if you prefer. It's beautiful.
I always kind of felt like Luke was more of a chosen one than Anakin.
Oh, Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I guess it was, quote unquote, supposed to be Luke, even though Anakin was always told he
The
was
ambiguous prophecy is in Dune too. That's like
Oh,
a
yeah,
trilogy.
he's not supposed to be
Yeah.
the Kwisatz Haderach, but
Yeah.
like he is anyway.
But no, it becomes clear that it was his son, Leto, who's going through the door that he opened of
Mhm.
the destiny of saving
ki-
humanity.
It's kind of the nature of prophecies to be vague
Yeah,
and like
vague
open
and-
to interpretation. There's never
and-
like a super specific prophecy in
Yeah.
any story.
And by the idea of Anakin creating Luke, being the father of Luke, it keeps both promises. Both are the chosen one. He created the person that would bring balance to the Force.
Yeah, right. Well, and he did. It was Anakin who killed Palpatine.
Yeah,
Ultimately.
absolutely.
But then we have to ask: is that and I mean, I guess technically killed him, but when there's the sequels, but
Yeah, is Rey the chosen one?
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why it's all kind of just hearsay. What does bringing balance even really mean?
And I think since the audience will only know what has been put on screen and in TV shows and related material, writers want to really expand that sci-fi story that was originally just A New Hope, expand it into this constant reiterations of stories that are kind of like perennially relevant throughout history, and borrowing from different eras of warfare and different machines, different religions, etc., different cultures, and putting it in a melange, a stew of sorts, and constantly keep trying to prop it up and keep it relevant and make it interesting and make it entertaining and put a twist on an old formula. That leads me to believe that the Force has to be basically a generator for novelty in the universe. It has to create novelty. New content, basically. The Force is a content creator.
Well, I don't follow you here.
Because everything that revolves around the Star Wars universe is in some way influenced by the Force.
Rogue One wasn't influenced by the Force.
Chira Imwe wasn't influenced by the Force.
I guess technically he was part of the main cast, but he wasn't like, he wasn't a Saw Gerrera. He wasn't a.
What? No, he's more of a character than Saw Gerrera is.
Hey, you know what? I like Saw Gerrera. Okay.
Oh, that's fine, but he's Chira Imwe is like the best character in that movie.
Yeah, Chira Imwe is definitely the best character in that movie.
And I don't know how much you really, was he like a grand planner?
Huh?
What was he? Would you really say that he? I don't actually know. You know what? I may be misspeaking there, because obviously he played his part, but without him there, I'm firmly of the mind that the plans for the Death Star still would have gotten to where they
No, because he
Yeah,
hit the
there's
button.
a scene where
and
there's a big button that's like the shut off to the
that's
military.
the whole part where he like goes out. I'm one.
I am one of the Force. The Force is one.
Like he
was
needed
epic.
to be there to push the button to
And
do whatever.
That was also a beautiful scene because again, it hit on the thing that like there's plausible deniability that
Yes,
the Force influenced that, or if he was just
pure luck.
so confident, and like you can even go into the theory that like if you're a fucking in a battle and you see this monk just walking across the way, you're not gonna just fucking shoot him because he's just like a civilian, you know?
Well,
like,
here's the thing.
You
say,
there could be
circumstances,
psychology.
Was it luck?
Yeah.
Was it really the Force? But then there's also the question: what's the difference?
Yeah. And I like that because that's easier to map onto our feelings about spirituality as they are in real life.
And I'm so glad that he's in that movie because that touches on one of the things that I want to see more of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love how Rogue One portrayed the Force as just kind of this like weird eccentric thing that most of the characters didn't believe in or really even care about or talk about. But here's this one like fanatic.
Yeah.
And he does this thing and it's like, well, was it or was it not actually real? I like the mystery of it, you know? And he wasn't a Jedi. He was just a maybe Force sensitive monk, you know?
It's really
what was
good.
it? He was the guardian of the Wills, right?
Uh-huh.
Like I love that. It's almost more what I feel like the Jedi were originally in George Lucas's conception of the universe. Like almost like pre like A New Hope, you know, when he was just like writing it and stuff.
Yeah, and he wasn't so sour and like stone faced, you know. He was conversational and casual and had a good energy and he was free. He wasn't like this stoic monk, you know. I like that a lot too. He's very deep character, and I'm glad.
I'm so upset that we're not going to see more of him, but well, unless it's like an animated show or something like that. But.
That was a very cool character and great movie.
Yeah.
And so a cosmology or a theology around the Force. What does it look like? Because what balance is attainable if it's always going to just end in this cycle of struggle and warfare, or is that the point that it's just a continuous?
Maybe that is balance.
It's just continuous one-upmanship between
in a world in which people have free will. To go back to how I explained my conception of the Force earlier,
yin and yang, eating each other, growing each other.
There's going to be disruptions, and then in order to bring balance back, there needs to be a concerted effort to, you know, make peace again. And then once peace is achieved, it will last until something else disrupts the balance, and then balance has to be brought back. You know, that's one of the central themes of all of Star Wars, is the cycle, you know? In the galactic politics, and the Skywalker family, and the Jedi and the Sith, and, you know, even story beats within each individual movie or trilogy, you know? Like, that is the balance, I guess.
It's a cycle of samsara in some ways, though.
Yeah.
So as long as they continue to make movies, though, I mean, there's not going to be a balance of the Force. Or are you saying every iteration of the universe in any state of chaos is still in balance?
No, not chaos. Every generation, every moment, there's opportunity to bring balance, and on different scales too.
But what
what
does balance look like? Peace in general, balance is relative, but never completely attainable. It's always
like I said earlier, I think of like the light side of the Force as like the natural state of peace and like, you know, I don't want to be like liberty and freedom, but I mean like, you know, where beings have the opportunity to live their lives as they want, you know, without harming others or like the world around them. And you can establish that on your planet or on your homestead, you know, in your compound, you know, or you can establish that on on a system scale, or the galactic scale, and it's up to everybody in their station, in their role in the unfolding tapestry of the galaxy, to in their own way support and maintain that that balance, I guess.
Does it make any difference to the Force whether you're ruling the galaxy with an iron fist and a fascist government, or whether you support freedom and sticking up for the innocent and supporting the downtrodden?
I think it does. I think I'm going to say yes, it does matter. And I think you see evidence of that in, like, if we're going to get super technical, and I feel like Derek could probably have more insight on this, or if we're getting super technical with the Force, I mean, you have, like, the Wills, who, in their own minute way, like, do influence kind of, like, the larger scale flowings of I guess, the Force, but... Like, I think it mattered, yeah, because like I said, like a fascistic empire imposing its will on the rest of the galaxy is the dark side. It's breaking the equilibrium.
But in some way, I mean, like the purpose of fascism is often to maintain order and organization and efficiency.
Yeah, maintain order at the expense of the outgroup.
The outgroup.
Like,
yeah, but there seems to be no allegiance that the Force has to any outgroup or in-group.
Yeah, Dennis, I would actually say that's incredibly accurate. I don't think the Force has any allegiance.
Well, I'm not saying like an overt allegiance, but like, say, how can I say, like,
I like what you're saying, though. I mean, this is an interesting nitty-gritty,
like,
rubber hits the road.
In science, like, think of, like, inertia, if you will. Like, things have a tendency to return to their original state, right? A government, this huge empire, totalitarian government, is going to kind of build up, like, a cosmic inertia against them that will, not like the Force, like, once, quote unquote, is like choosing sides, but you can't, in this fictional universe where there actually is this sort of, like, all powerful, guiding force, like, you can't go, or think of it as like
peace kind of makes it happy, and war kind of makes it, like, chaotic.
Yes.
Like, that's
a great way to put it. We're not talking about bad or evil. We're talking about chaos versus...
we're talking about the vibe, kind of.
Yeah, the Force is the vibe.
The Force is the vibe. So, but the Force seems kind of like sometimes it doesn't have its own locus of control, because it's constantly being manipulated by the dark side with devastating results. Devastating.
Well, just the dark side. It's being manipulated by the light side as well to do whatever their agenda might be.
Yeah, but that feels less like manipulation, more like going with the flow and the harnessing what the harmonizing with the Force, rather than twisting it and dominating.
If you cut down a large swath of a forest to build a city, you have to actively maintain that city for the rest of time. Otherwise, the forest will encroach back in on the city and eventually take it over if it's not kept back. Think of the Force as the forest and the city as you know, as the Empire or any sort of thing going against the natural state of being.
I'm a little lost.
That's actually pretty good.
Or like a river, you know, if you throw a huge boulder in the middle of a river, the water will continue to flow around it, but the boulder will obstruct and disrupt the river and the things that live in the river. You know, but then over a long period of time, the river will grind down and dispose of the boulder.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. But yeah, I mean, these are good metaphors. So it's just like a natural order in your view. It's a natural tendency for the universe to almost reach a Zen harmony.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's sort of like, you know, making a real world nirvana.
A flow, kind of like a flow state too.
Yeah,
that's very cool. Yeah, I think this is very good. This is sort of like the light side version of the dark side episode.
Yeah. And like Jedi can, you know, I like how you say flow state, because think about like maybe tapping into the Force is like, you know, the Jedi activating that connection with the flow, getting into that flow state, and then, you know, being one with it, and then helping to influence that flow.
Or even Sith, you know, I mean, Sith are opening the aperture to the Force, you know, the connection to it, and going into flow states, but are motivated by, you know, power and dominance. But you know, there's people like that in real life, you know, that are motivated by and power hungry, and they don't care about being good. They don't care about harmony and shit. They're competitive people, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is interesting that they're allowed to kind of, if they're good at it, open the aperture to this mystical Force potential and use it against its kind of wishes, it seems, you know, or against its original pathing or its original state, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What's the mechanism of that? How is that explainable? Or is that just, it's a perversion of this kind of natural flow? Is it fictional?
What is?
The Force.
I mean,
or if it was mapped onto our real world, you could say like you going with the flow and finding the right thing to focus on and the right thing that's improving you and the society and community around you. That's like the light side of the Force. And then if you're like really controlling and competitive, that's sort of like the dark side of the Force in real life.
I think there's definitely parallels to be had in terms of like personality and goals. And I mean, you see that a lot. Like, you see the type of person that ends up as a Sith, and in a lot of ways, I mean, Anakin always showed, you know, he didn't display very like light side mannerisms that are typically from that personality. So I do, and I mean, again, these are fictional characters we're talking about, but I know where you're coming from, Dennis, and I would venture to say, yeah, I do agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe to elaborate on that, I'm just sort of like kind of thinking about what is the power that an ordinary person gets in our real culture that is similar to letting go of the auto targeting and just centering yourself and being like, you know, I could do it manually and shoot the exhaust port with my photon cannon better without the auto targeting. And that's like almost like the big Force moment in the first foundational movie. What does that translate to in our own lives, and why is that maybe so relatable, so powerful? You know, it's the kind of like the allegory of the steel driver for the John Henry. It's like sort of the John Henry thing. It's like you could have the auto mechanism help you and assist you, or you could just go back to your primal nature of what you see in front of you. I don't know.
John Henry died at the end.
Yeah, he did. And a lot of Jedi die too in these self-sacrificial moments. Actually,
the only person carrying the manual mining died. Really makes you think.
It is a flaw in the story that the next day they're just like, all right, well, at this point we don't have any other option. We just have this automatic guy, and it's 99% as good as the guy who died yesterday.
I know. I mean, yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from, Dennis, and no, I definitely agree that there are a significant amount of parallels to be made there.
Well, my question was, in your own life, is there any moment where you're like, all right, I can do this if I just focus. I don't need any other anything else, just my senses and my my wits, and we can do this thing if we're confident, and we go ahead and we do it. That's kind of how the Force is shown in that moment. You know, the big climactic moment in the first Star Wars.
I think it more talks on like kind of just, I don't want to say like being yourself so much as just like, again, where Luke had experience with that, and shooting the Womp Rats or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the exact one, but Luke had experience and just kind of sticking to what he knows is the right word, but he was familiar with the situation. He felt prepared enough to just say, I got this.
Yeah, that's true. He trusted himself and just relied on what he knew he could do, his experience.
In distress, he started hearing voices from a dead friend. The old Skywalker curse.
Schizophrenia runs in the Skywalker family.
Oh no.
So guys, if George Lucas was a Jedi, what color would his lightsaber be?
He'd be a fucking Sith. He's a master puppeteer.
Yeah, you're probably right, honestly.
I don't think there are any interesting colors left.
What do you mean?
They made a big deal about Rey having like a white lightsaber, but she never even used it.
Yeah,
it was yellow.
In movies.
Was it yellow? I thought it was white.
Whatever color, she never used it either way. What the heck?
She never used it.
No, you just like see it at the end. It's just like sitting there.
Oh, also, I realized in our top lightsaber fights, there is a fight that we forgot, which is the Rey versus Dark Rey, which doesn't make sense. Because is that a hallucination? It's like a hallucination, I guess.
That's not a real fight, though. Dark Rey is not a real person.
They never explain that either. Why she's having a hallucination in this moment. Anyway, we can move on.
So,
George Lucas's lightsaber is the color I can't think of right now.
You know what? You could make the argument that the very existence of George Lucas prevents there ever being balance in the Force. I mean, really, I guess now it's more Disney than George Lucas, but you get the point. You know, the point still stands.
Well, that's what I was saying. As long as they're making movies,
of energy.
you need to have tension in movies. Unless, like, what if they made a whole movie and nothing sad or scary happened?
Dude, that'd be beautiful.
It's just Star Wars goofballs hanging out. It's always sunny in Dagobah or something.
It would be the modern state of creative writing in academia. I said it.
It would be the modern state of screenwriting?
Of creative writing in academia.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. The slice of life story. You could make it fun. I don't know. You could make it fun. There's movies that, what it was the Linkletter trilogy with Before Sunrise,
yeah.
and then with Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke. Yeah. Make a movie like that with Star Wars.
Or would you say
that's
what about,
when the Force is balanced?
The Big Lebowski is kind of like an example of.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely tension and like things that go wrong in it, but I mean, it never really phases the dude. He just rolls with it.
Yeah, that would be a cool adaptation to kind of put into Star Wars. Something like that, yeah.
Like this one Jedi who just like rolls with it.
Orange lightsabers. That would be a cool lightsaber.
Yeah, I don't know why they've never done an orange.
They've never done orange, yeah.
Wait. Didn't, fuck, I thought what's his name had, no, well, they did change it out in the later Clone Wars. God, I'm so terrible with names. What is his name? He's got, like, weird, like, orangish pink skin.
I don't remember ever seeing an orange saber.
Maybe it was yellow-ish. Maybe it was, like, a yellow-orange. Oh my god. The guy that saves Ahsoka in early Clone Wars.
Yeah, I don't remember. Plo Koon?
Plo Koon, yes, him. Hang on, let's look this.
It was like green or something.
Well, yeah, in later depictions. But in his earlier depictions, I'm almost positive it was. How did we even get on Plo Koon? What is going on? Originally it was like yellow-orange, and then they just retconned it to be blue. That's kind of upsetting.
The Force is like Odin. It feeds off of war. It becomes more powerful the more war happens. That's why Darth Vader wanted to make the Force more powerful, and he succeeded only by making the greatest military force ever known in the galaxy.
Did Vader do that, or did Palpatine do that? Because I think Palpatine did that.
Palpatine wanted to do it. Vader did it.
Yet again, we have just another, someone's pulling the strings. But, at the end of the day, I'm still just very confused as to what does bringing balance even. What if, actually, hear me out here.
The Force wants blood.
This is my tinfoil hat theory, okay? What if no one ever even brought balance to the Force? Luke and Anakin thought they did at some point, but what if they never really did?
Yeah, what would that look like? It would look the same.
Exactly.
So, is Star Wars actually a treatise on nihilism.
Well, I think it also has something to say about you have these fantastical powers. What are you worried of prophecies about?
Yeah. It's kind of like... maybe it's kind of like, at the end of the day, all this prophecy stuff, all this large-scale stuff doesn't really matter. All that really matters is, what you do with the time that's given you in the position you're in. Like, you can be a hero without Jedi power, without the Force powers. Wow, I'm starting to agree with Luke. That to ultimately bring balance to the Force, you have to sever yourself from it. No, that's not true either, because you should be in tune with it. I don't know, man. The dude abides.
Apologist with the question mark?
It is a little nihilistic, actually. I mean, only because of the sequel trilogy, honestly. And
yeah, you're right.
The fact that they just put another coin in the machine. Let's rerun through it again.
They could have done literally any other story.
First Order, replacing all the bullshit. All this bullshit is just starting up again and doing it all over again. Blah, 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 blah.
Just because.
Palpatine, slick, schnick. Okay.
Somehow.
But theoretically, he could come back. Another, a more evil Darth Vader can come back. Evil Rey can come back. Any clone motherfucker can cause the next.
Okay, alright, guys, hear me out.
Trilogy. What is Taika Waititi gonna do?
Guys, hear me. Okay, so instead of the Death Star, we have the Death Planet. Okay? And instead of blowing up one planet, it blows up 5. 5 of them.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Maybe the Death Planet, we should call it something instead of Death Planet, because that's too similar to Death Star. Maybe we should call it Evil Planet.
Well, if the Death Star blew up planets, then let's have this Death Star planet blow up stars.
It'll kill stars.
It's like a star killer.
Base.
But you know what? Let's not even have it blow up stars in the movie. Let's just have it blow up planets like the actual original Death Star.
Yes.
Maybe there'll be an earthquake on it when the protagonist and the antagonist are fighting with lightsabers.
Well, that's a given.
That never gets explained. That opens up like a big cavern between them that separates.
No, the earthquake's going on because it's getting ready to blow up, actually.
Oh, really? The earthquake? Why is it blowing?
Because Han and whoever down, and Finn down in the port,
they did
set it off to blow up.
Oh, they set the blow up button on?
Yeah, they hit the blow up button.
I don't remember. Okay. Alright, so if you were the Force, what would you do?
Just tell people to, just stop fighting, man. Love each other. Both of you use the Force in different ways, come together, figure it out. I don't know. Doesn't make for a great story now.
Star Piece. That's going to be Taika Waititi's movie. Trilogy.
I do find it kind of interesting that there is no, I don't know, there really doesn't seem to be much, equilibrium maybe isn't the right word, because that's just balance. But, how is it that the light and dark are so fundamentally different when they both just come from the same thing?
I mean, it maps onto human personalities pretty well.
Well, that's exactly why I had said I think you're on the money. And how do you find balance in that? It's very difficult.
Well, I think it's a constant evolution, and you see people going too far, both, too morally conservative or too morally anarchic and crazy. People tend towards either fascism or anarchy, and it's the extremes are ugly. The middle path is pretty boring. I think most people choose a little bit of all of the above, you know. And that to me, I mean that's what people resonate with in Star Wars, is that it represents such a diverse view of the world. You know, there's cynics and, you know, nihilists and egotists and cowboys and monks and princesses and all sorts of motherfuckers, you know. There's something for everyone. And that's what's scary, because people at their core have to survive. They have to live another day, and people are selfish enough to prefer their survival against others if push comes to shove. So that's part of evolution. I think, you know, the Force is very similar to the thing that's molding our evolution, that it's full of these tiny little skirmishes, battles, patterns that have people pitted against each other for ideological reasons or just resource disputes. You know, it's part of our nature. You know, what did Nietzsche say? Man is a rope tied between beast and superhuman. You know, humanity is represented in the worst person and in the most heroic person. What is balance? I don't know. I mean, would you know if you saw it? You know, so some balance could just be
feel it.
Stagnation. You know,
I feel like you would feel it.
Good, Rob. Yep. So
You would feel it when you encounter it.
You tap into it, you would just feel it. It's good.
under the baobab tree.
Yeah. So, on that, I feel like it's time to wrap this one up.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts? We're spent.
Prophecies are hard to tell, and you know, there's a lot to reflect on in reality on the balance of the Force.
Be good to one another and embrace the primal source of wisdom, compassion, and understanding. And may the Force be with you always.
With you.
Okay.
You're watching Tosche Station. Like, comment, subscribe, share, Twitch.
Hell yeah.
Go on to the next thing. Go to watch our other videos. Become a sponsor. Donate. Leave 3 comments. Leave five likes. Log into your other accounts. Put those into likes and convert our podcast into cold hard cash.
Yeah. But no, Dennis, you gotta do it like all the kids are doing today. You gotta scream and say, "We gotta get 5,000 likes on this," and just like that.
Let's get this up to 69 likes, 420 shares. Let's get this going. Put this on your podcast blog channel. Okay, no one's really watching this, but
that's fine.
I'm
here talking, so that counts, right?
Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been a new episode of Tosche Station.
Bye.